Elbows up.
Elbows up.
It's the slogan that propelled the Liberals to a comeback victory. But less than 4 months later, Mark Carney admits his elbows are now down.
You know, when you're late in the game, dropping the gloves and taking the extra penalty might not be the best thing to do. And that's the situation we're in now.
The day
All the hockey analogies in the world isn't going to save Mark Carney and the Liberal Party from this one would hope. I mean, seriously, guys, if this doesn't wake up Canadians to how badly they were played, I don't think anything ever will. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Johnny Says So. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel on your way in. So, I've always been fascinated with narratives. More specifically, what happens when they change so quickly and so abruptly that the people who believed in them the most vehemently are left with a form of whiplash, or cognitive dissonance, if you will, and they are forced to adjust to the facts on the ground. Will they admit that they were wrong, or will they double down and find ridiculous ways to twist themselves into pretzels, trying to justify what they've spent the last few months or years believing? This is a perfect example of this would be the COVID hysteria, or Joe Biden's presidential election, where, we were told repeatedly that he is sharp as a tack. And then all of a sudden he has that one debate with Donald Trump where he couldn't form words anymore. And then it was too big for the legacy media to even spin. And, a new plan had to be made. I believe we are at this moment right now with Mark Carney. Look at this, guys. Canadians can put their elbows down and keep their heads high. So this is really funny to me, because elbows up has always been a very lame catchphrase that appeals to the lowest common denominator. And it's just really strange to watch it die so suddenly and so abruptly. And the way the legacy media is trying to downplay this or spin it as a win for Mark Carney is truly remarkable. So let's read, shall we? Mark Carney made the right call by announcing the removal of some Canadian tariffs against U.S. products on Friday. He put the country's long-term national interests ahead of short-term domestic politics, recognizing that the future of the U.S.-Canada-Mexico Agreement, USMCA, is at stake. So already the article is off to a pretty ridiculous start, because it says he put the country's long-term national interests ahead of short-term domestic politics, when really that couldn't be further from the truth. Elbows up always was short-term domestic politics. All it was a cheap PR stunt designed to make you forget just how badly things were mismanaged under Justin Trudeau. And just as quickly as the election cycle went away, it goes away too. Absolutely crazy. But the article goes on to say, over the next 2 weeks, the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative will formally launch its USMCA review process. In so doing, Washington will send a clear signal about whether the Trump administration wants it to be extended or to expire. Canada had to send a signal of its own, too. With Friday's announcement that Ottawa would ease the countermeasures to the Trump administration's so-called tariffs, the Prime Minister made it clear that we want to preserve the preferential trade and investment relationship that has supercharged our economy for the last 40 years. Now that just doesn't inspire confidence that Mark Carney is at all serious about his campaign's slogan of building Canada strong. Because that's all it was, guys, just a slogan. And it's such a sharp contrast to what he was saying during the election cycle. There it is, right on his podium, "We are Canada strong." Listen to this rhetoric from just a few months ago.
We are once again at one of those hinge moments of history. Our old relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration, is over. The system of open global trade, anchored by the United States, a system that Canada has relied on since the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped deliver prosperity for a country for decades, is over.
Now, it's hard to believe that that was just a few short months ago, but here we are. And now, I want to show you Mark Carney from just the other day, taking a much more somber tone. Let's take a look.
Pretty much every stop during the election, you referenced elbows up and saying that was going to be the strategy you take with the Americans. You also consistently said that Donald Trump was trying to break us so he could own us. Your new argument today is that Canadians should accept basically the best of a bad deal. What's been the change?
Wait. I reject the premise of that question.
Well, you can reject the premise all you want, Mark, but the fact is that you, in fact, were saying it's much worse than a bad deal. If I recall correctly, just a few months ago, this deal was the worst crisis of our lifetime. That is how you guys put it. The worst crisis of our lifetime.
Or your characterization of what I'm saying. We have the best deal with the United States right now. Okay? We have the best deal. Look at the numbers. Our tariff is 5.5%. We have 85% of our goods are free trade. It's not what we used to have. Nobody has a deal with the United States that they used to have. Nobody does. They have fundamentally changed. It's their right. We respect it. They have fundamentally changed their trade policy. They have new objectives. And they haven't just talked about those objectives. They put in place tariffs, and they have signed a series of trade deals, including with the European Union, including with others, that have put those into effect. Okay? So we're in a position where we have held out, not signed a deal that we don't agree with or that we don't think is in the best interest of Canadians, but and focused on, and we will remain focused on those strategic sectors to the best interests of Canada first. Of course, America will focus on the best interests of the U.S. But we do so from a position where we're respecting, with this decision, we're respecting our agreement with the United States, and we are matching what they have done. That puts us in a good position for the next phase of these negotiations.
So basically, Mark Carney says he respects what the United States is doing. But during the election cycle, he was trying to scare the living shit out of gullible Canadians, telling them that Donald Trump is trying to break us so he could own us. Two very different things. But I want to get into this global news clip because I find this very interesting. Even the legacy media can't defend him anymore.
Grocery stores where the elbows up movement to buy Canadian over U.S. goods really hit home. And it's where Ottawa's counter-tariffs against American products was felt most.
Counter-tariffs were hurting Canadians.
The cost of counter-tariffs on foods, says this food pricing expert, was taking a toll on grocery budgets. He predicts removing those measures as of September 1st will make a difference.
We could see prices drop for products like orange juice, for example, dry goods in the center of the store. I think, honestly, this is the right move.
After U.S. President Donald Trump launched a volley of tariffs.
Of course it's the right move. Counter-tariffs never should have been discussed to begin with. Donald Trump can tax the American citizens all he wants because that's what this is. When Donald Trump puts tariffs on other countries, Americans pay for it. When Canadians put tariffs on American goods, we pay for it. It's very simple. This is just another tax. A tax that, I don't know about you guys, but I feel that most Canadians don't want. Now, it's not just Carney himself and the legacy media who are finally starting to clue into just how destructive and illogical these counter-tariffs are, but Pierre Poilievre had something to say about this as well. Where is the master negotiator Canadians were promised?
I was happy to hear that he got the president on the phone. I know that Mr. Carney has been trying to do that now for about a month, and today the president accepted his call. And the Prime Minister took the opportunity to make a series of very generous concessions to President Trump.
Now, in all fairness, I don't even think that these are generous concessions. I think they're very dumb, not very well thought out ideas that we shouldn't have put forward to begin with.
And I was expecting that when the call was reported that we'd find that President Trump had given us something in return, that Mr. Carney, being the negotiator he promised he would be, that he would get something after giving something. But not so. Today we learn that it has been yet another capitulation and climb down by Mark Carney. His elbows have mysteriously gone missing. And this call follows on other concessions. He promised during the campaign he would have dollar-for-dollar retaliation. He pulled that back. He made concessions on the military.
Now, I would like to point out that Pierre Poilievre himself was sort of backed into a corner here, and every major political party in Canada was pushing dollar-for-dollar tariffs. So let's hope Pierre Poilievre isn't taking this as an opportunity to out Mark Carney, because if that's the case, then he truly has learned nothing from his loss.
While getting nothing in return. He pulled back on his digital services tax, a terrible tax, but you'd think he'd get something in return for it. Nothing. And today, he removed even almost all of the tariffs on the United States and got none lifted from Canada. This continues with the weakness that he's shown on the world stage, continuing ahead with a $1 billion loan to the dictatorship in Beijing to build ships for Canada, creating jobs for foreign workers in steel and shipbuilding, while that same regime hits our farmers and fish harvesters with increasingly high and unfair tariffs. Mr. Carney's capitulations would be laughable if they weren't so tragic. They will harm our farmers, our workers, our people. More importantly, from his point of view, they are a broken promise. They are exactly the opposite of what Mr. Carney ran on. His signature promise in the last election was that he was going to put elbows up, negotiate a win, and match American tariffs. Let's go through the list. He has not thrown one elbow since he took office, except at our own workers. He did not meet his promise of a July 21st deal with the Americans. Again, his promise, not mine. He did not, he's backed down while claiming that he would stand up, and he's gotten absolutely nothing in return. In fact, American tariffs are twice as high on Canada today as they were when Prime Minister Carney took office, promising to deploy his negotiating skills to get us a win.
Now, things are going to get very interesting come September 15th when the House of Commons sits again and Pierre Poilievre, who actually has a seat, will be able to grill Mark Carney on all of this. But what I'm most interested in is, will Canadians who voted for Mark Carney start to wake up to any of this? Will they be able to swallow their pride and admit that maybe they've been tricked once again? Because there was a large section of the population that voted for Trudeau the first few times around and were done with him. And it only took Mark Carney to swoop in, put his elbows up in the air, and all of a sudden everybody loves the Liberal Party again. It's sometimes it's kind of embarrassing to be a Canadian, but here we are. Anyways, guys, that's going to be my show for tonight. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And as always, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Johnny from Nova Scotia says thank you. Hey, Johnny from Nouvelle-Écosse, il dit merci, thank you.
Thanks to you.
Thank you so much. Perfect. Yeah, Quebec.